till elevators drop us from our day. I think of cinemas, panoramic slides, with multitudes bent towards some flashing scene, never disclosed but hastened to gain, foretold to otherwise on the same screen. And thee across the harbor silver pays, as though the sun took step of thee, that left some motion ever unspent in thy stride. Implicitly thy freedom staying thee. Out of some way scuttled cellar loft of Bedlamite speeds to thy parapets, tilting there momentarily, shrill shirt ballooning, a chest falls from the speechless caravan. Down wall from girder into straight noon leaks, a rip tooth of the skies acetylene, till all afternoon the cloud-flown derricks turn. Thy cables breathe the North Atlantic still. And obscure as that heaven of the Jews, thy guerdon, accolade thou dost bestow of anonymity time cannot raise, violent reprieve and pardon thou dost show. O harping altar of the fury fused, how could mere toil align thy choiring strings? Terrific threshold of the prophet's pledge, prayer of pariah and the lover's cry. Again the traffic light that skimmed thy swift unfractioned idiom, immaculate sigh of stars, beating thy path, condensed eternity, and we have seen night lifted in thine arms. Under thy shadow by the piers I waited, only in darkness is thy shadow clear. The city's fiery parcels all undone, already snow submerges an iron year. O sleepless as the river enter thee, vaulting the sea, the prairie's dreaming sod, unto us lowly the sometime sweet descend, and of the curve ship lend a myth to God. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan Dunco.
Next up at the mic is Britt Peter.
Hey,
Britt Peter, the honorable, the courageous, the well-known, the fearless.
I got it. I'll come to it.
There we go.
Route 71. The man in the wheelchair got on the 71 bus, secure on his throne, source of operation. He commenced a conversation on his well-apt cell phone. Random words drifted back through the bus. Recurrent phrases. The mantra was, getting it together, getting it together. Maybe he got off for his law office or to tool over to the building that housed the Richmond Political Alliance. Or maybe he was just talking to a close friend. What's next in dust kicking? Werner Jaeger in Paideia explored the roots of politics. Polis, polite, politics, the imagined gathering, conversation, and handshake. Here, at Emma Lazarus' Golden Door, politics is gun running, theft, and oppression. The examples of the savage context are frequent and abundant. Isn't it time to sing the Internationale again? To disregard Machiavelli and the Democratic National Committee? To defrock Trump and send his henchmen away for years? Isn't it time to address honest human need?
Bob Gordon. Bob Gordon.
You're going to read from there?
Yeah, I might as well. I'm just going to do two columns. One is
louder? No, the other.
The other one is my Greek friend. And I was going to retrieve it, I was going to read two, and I'm going to read them in reverse order. I put them down on the table. And that's it. The only place I want to be welcome is in your heart. How do I know when somebody says, I love you? Is it when the words are small, or all over my world, something tells me that is what you love? My dear, who you are is my dream, and as they say, Christmas often comes when you think it's only once a year. Makes sense. To you, this will be like a dream. Don't say you love me, whatever we will do. So say, I don't know what to do, and I will only say, I love you. This poem I wrote because I wanted to express Brady. Anyone who tries to thwart God's goodness or who makes a judgment on God's behalf, God hates.
Thank you. Maximilian?
Give him a round as he comes up here. This is not his first time here, but he hasn't been here in a while. Come around, please. And then we have a newbie, Candy, right? Have you not been here before? Okay, so you have a surprise for you.
Okay,
You're on.
I can be detained any moment. The federal police is looking for me. I built up a sculpture.
Close to the mic.
I built up a sculpture in the Presidio, a protest for healthy living and to protect children and dogs. And they have spread all over the Presidio, certain part Roundup, and I did a protest. So I protected it that the children could not sit on it. And they even did a picnic on the dead grass from Roundup. So I'm attacking the Roundup product, the Presidio. I'm attacking Monsanto, and I'm attacking Bayer. So this sculpture I built up today, last night, my last sculpture, the third one. So I built one, and I broke it off. Two, with the manager from the Presidio, showing her what I was doing and telling her that this was a danger for kids playing on it. They should do something about it. So we walked away, and she came back and cleaned up all my second work, put it in the garbage, all the 200 bottles. So I put it in the garbage. I was surprised, so I took out the garbage and dumped it all there and started the third sculpture. And this afternoon I went back, disappeared. So this happening, I'm communicating with the connection I have from all of them, environmentally friendly, from Mother Earth Housing, from Louis Campen, from Reminiscence Earth International, from Corinth. They do housing, world housing for people. So I'm part of it, so I have communicated it to the rest of the world. So I'm a warrior here against social justice. I'm a warrior here to give healthy food to the people. Not the rich ones, the poor people, they deserve too to have good food. So I hope that tonight I will build up my fourth sculpture in the Presidio. So I'm the rebel. Today the federal police came in a family relief and they were looking for me. They want to detain me. I told yesterday to the woman, you do me a favor detaining me. This make me, wow, I can say out my word, and here it is, at this moment. So, is the time almost over?
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Besides this, I'm building up in Nevada, Circle City is called. So Circle City, in the desert, we have 54 acres that we are growing hemp. Hemp, healing hemp, for cancer, the best of the best. Finally, in America, they give the green card, you can grow hemp now. So I'm doing it in Nevada, a big farm, robotic farming, etc. And in the middle, I build up tents, and I'm bringing people, artisan. I had a whole strategy with the homeless people in Oakland. So I will take you out here and I put it in the desert and they give you living, free home, free food, da, da, da. But I was in danger with the drug world. I was taking away clients, so I quit. I still want to live. So I'm bringing artists there together, like a Burning Man, but active. Living there off the grid, and having a new lifestyle. And they live like in a paradise. They have free food and free housing. They have to do only 20 hours community work. Yeah? And after 6 months, that I learn to appreciate healing herbs, that I appreciate the real farming, the real nutrition, then and being active too in the whole process. Then I give them a membership, and our partner that they have a free location for the rest of their life, because the CCs are all over the world, and they can quit and they go to China, they go to Russia, they go to Africa. They have free housing because they left the little house they give them. I'm also doing in the Delta, teaching Monsanto farmers, they're using Roundup, etc., teaching them get away from it. We have other solutions that are organic. Yeah. I'm also building up there in the Delta, there are thousands of miles of rivers, building up housing, floating houses for recycled products for the poor people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See him for more information. He has it.
Kenny, Michelle, you're up next.
And this is a new person. Come on, let's go. Come on. I don't hear it out there. Come on, bye.
I just hope that doesn't cut into my time.
No, it wouldn't. Oh, just move the microphone this way so we can get you better on the camera. There you go.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. See, I haven't.
I'm just teasing.
Don't worry about that.
All right, thank you. This is my first time. I'm going to try a monologue that I've been working on. I woke up one day and I thought to myself, I really do love myself. And I got really excited because I came to this thought. And then I decided to tell the world. And when you tell people that you love yourself, you get comments like, you're a little conceited. And, you think quite highly of yourself. I kind of wanted to respond, duh, shouldn't I? But I didn't. I thought about it. It's so strange that we live in a world where when we want to explore our talents and share them with our world, people cut us down and tell us not to, or tell us to be quiet, or tell us that we're cute so we shouldn't talk too much, or tell us we want a lot of attention. I think, those are the talentless people that tell us that. And they're slightly a little bit jealous because they can't do what we do. But I also just think it's sad. I think it's sad that we live in a world where people want to shut everybody down instead of finding ways to celebrate our unique greatness. As I explore more and more my artistic talents, more and more people that I considered my friends try to shut me down, or leave before my sets, or come to my sets and then not say anything at all. And then when I finally mention it, they're like, well, I don't remember what you did, my bad. I mean, first, yeah, sure, I gotta cut them out of my life, you know, after I let them buy me a couple more beers. But, you know, you gotta get what you can from them, you know. If they're gonna shoot you down, at least they can pay for it. But, you know, I also think that it's really sad. And one of my goals for this year is to explore all my talents and share them as much as I can, and not worry about the people who try to cut me down, or tell me that I'm conceited, or tell me that I think too highly of myself. And that's just my goal. But I do think it's sad that we live in a world where we're punished for loving ourselves instead of celebrated, and ask questions like, oh, well, how do you get there? Can you help me? Can you draw me a roadmap? But I won't let those people deter me, which is why I'm here.
Good job.
But yeah, that's just my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Tommy, have it roll a mic.
Word had it that the pastor of our parish didn't want blacks in the neighborhood, something he made known to realtors who supposedly complied with his wishes. Mama never had anything good to say about him, or any of the clergy for that matter. The only time she went to church was when someone got married or buried. So I was really surprised that Christmas Eve she insisted I go with her and my aunt to midnight mass. I wasn't ready to tell her I was an atheist, though I think she figured it out, considering I had taken down the crucifix in my room and removed the statue of La Madonna from my bureau and stashed it on a shelf in the back of the cellar. As I sat waiting for the service to begin, I resigned myself to the fact that this was going to be a long, boring night. I was wrong. As the priest finished giving out the Holy Communion and the last of the faithful were wandering back to their seats with the round wafers in their mouths, someone in the back of the room started yelling. Everyone turned. It was a very drunk Monsignor, who suddenly stumbled into a wooden literature table that fell over with a loud crash. Pamphlets scattered everywhere. Still shouting, he headed down the side aisle toward the front of the church. Two young guys from the congregation rushed to intercept him. Mama and my aunt looked at each other and started laughing, covering their mouths with their hands. The priest at the altar rushed through the rest of the mass, exiting along with the altar boys. The young guys grabbed hold of the Monsignor. One of them tried to cover his mouth with his hand. The elderly pastor bit down hard. "Son of a bitch!" the guy yelled. The Monsignor started swinging and let loose with a string of words that kept tongues wagging for weeks. Then bent over and heaved up, vomit splashing on the dark pants cuffs and shiny black shoes of the young men. As he darted away, the Monsignor slipped and fell on his ass. I whispered to Mama, "So this is why you wanted me to come." "Come on, let's get out of here," she motioned to my aunt and me. "The entertainment's over." He was quite a character, that Monsignor. I could tell lots of stories about him. I'm going to end with an actual poem, since I do a lot of monologues and I think people think I can't write poetry, but We're going to try a poem. This is called Words, and it's about words. We utter them, think them all the time. Can't stop them even when we sleep. The steady stream in our brains, night and day, endless flood. We try to push them out, quiet them down, to hear only the whisper of synapses, the silence of nothingness. The more we try, the more they stampede in. How many do we think or speak in a lifetime? I don't remember a moment when they weren't rattling around, noisy occupants, sometimes stomping like an invading army, other times floating in on a delicate adagio. There had to be a moment when a switch was flipped and they were set in motion. Were they there when I was in the womb? Perhaps in some innate language we unlearn when we're taught to speak? We aim them as weapons, soothe wounds with them, use them to explain the nature of the universe, write poetry that elevates them. But they can't describe what my heart whispers or yearns for when I'm alone. Thank you.
Wow. Let me have it for the Mecca. Thank you. Owen Duncan is returning to the open mic. He did the keynote, so the keynote always comes back and does his own thing. Give him a round of applause. He comes up here. And then we got Bob James, right? Bob James. After Owen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just, yeah, be close on there, buddy. And then you after Bob. And Hal.
Duel at noon. Again the dull, hazy, brooding sky, the flag lazily flowing to the breeze that binds the day like a day I like, that winds and stops my feelings, that drag along like the lazy street and the rag of sun and wind. I scurry along, grind like teeth and marrow, my mind that is still clear and forgetting. Stag and buxom fairies mingle on street terms and talk of the times that I have crossed the busy street corners as though it were my legs. Mime and sing for dimes and jubilation. T corn pone al cap I see. On Columbus Avenue. Nothing comes of my mind today, just as exchange between people, myself, and passers-by are like snowball fights. A snowball fight on a sunny day in San Francisco, always full of empty moons. The moon could have grooves that wish they could talk like flowers, that are like biscuits talking themselves into being fried into fat. Twin Peaks. We poets are like horses that have burned down our barn. Cast off. My sentence is a loose hawser I have cast off. It splashes in the water like an oar. My notebook says, thank God, no more red ink. Dark night in the park. My ear listens softly to the cry of the night of psalms and anxiety. Passion is only for the desperate. Everyone else craves orders and sureness, the bliss of no wind. I wonder what the park could say to me. The sun splashes and squishes and maybe had a way with tramps and the forlorn. Hope of guitarists. Not as Picasso would want, the shearsman no longer a peasant, but North Beach, the lusty trumpet of the soul, of evening lights, and the settled down rest. Pixie dust, lines and phrases that lie down in my mouth. The night of the poem. Tonight is the night of the metaphors that are ghosts that have tried to be themselves. Sometimes the lines are too long to become a sonnet. Sometimes there is no imagination left on the face of the earth. When they, the lines, the metaphors are brilliant, they shine like rubies or emeralds on a woman's fingers. Or they are shy flowers that think they are not good enough to blow in the warm desert wind. Flowers like poems are quiet during the day and shout aloud to the laughing nights. Pace. The pace set on very busy Sansom Street. The pace seems kind of crazy. Nothing very lazy. Good God help me to someday find myself, or maybe there is a person I thought I tried very hard to be, but could. Sonnet, February 14th. Valentine's Day airy feast. Years ago, I was beat and easy, but it seems as though it were as no time has warped my metaphors. 40 years as though they were yesterday. I miss very dearly my mother and father. Time, it seems only yesterday, has made me its urchin orchid. Only approval could have any real value to me. Only they could understand the way of life by a brown study from the beginning to the present day, as had from the outside its nowness and forgiveness. I still mourn and am.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bob?
Bob Jones.
James, right?
James.
James. Bob James.
J-A-N?
I couldn't read your handwriting, sorry.
You Tarzan's me James.
Oh, James.
Okay.
What?
Shut up, Bob.
I'm the last word, so I'm gonna put it.
Oh, yeah, all right. Just, can you move the microphone this way, the whole microphone
bring it.
stand? Bring it towards the camera. There you go. Now.
How's it?
Now, yeah, now we're good.
Hello.
Just get really close to it, though.
It's really good to be with some spirited poets tonight. I'm a song poet, and this is Righteous Redhead. Originated from real life and then got kind of flights of imagination took over. So, her eyes are lovely, her red hair glorious, and she can sing like a bird in the sky. Her smile entices me, her curves delightful too. She has a keen mind, laughs a bunch to boot. She's culturally alive, waltzes gracefully, well-traveled, and her friends are so much fun. But I can't imagine rolling over in bed next to a Presbyterian Reverend. I heard her sermon one time, somewhat inspiring, but punishment were the songs that she sang. Such stuffy, wholesome ones, I felt I didn't fit in. Wondered, do they ever have any fun? Could she lead this flock, keep her cheerful smile, and not wind up as a sour old prune? I really wanted to go out sinning again and take the Reverend along. I asked her out dancing, we really cut the rug. That night she set theology aside. We went to have a brew, we didn't stop at 2. Got rousing crazy and we laughed so loud. Finally took her home, I got invited in. Tried a few moves on her that she wouldn't buy. But you're fun for one night while my husband's away. You helped this preacher blow off steam. Husband, I didn't know about him. That's why I can't imagine rolling over in bed next to a Presbyterian Reverend. Just not for me was heavy theology with a Presbyterian Reverend.
Bob James.
Righteous Redhead.
There we go. All All right, and now give Antoinette a nice rounding applause. He is my co-host for the evening, making sure I don't do silly things, and has stopped me already done twice and told me to be quiet. So very good on her part.
Hi, everybody. So I got to read Dan Brady's haiku this week, and it was really awesome. So I wrote a couple of haikus and put them all together. So reading Dan Brady's haiku, late afternoon sun with passion flowers. Tendrils reaching behind hedge, hiding me from skateboarders' loud music. Car radio double parked voices, then slam 2 doors and drive away.
Nice. Beautiful.
You are my space of Thanksgiving in this lonely hotel room with radio playing at night. Red kisses, joyous oranges waiting on sad dresser, all day to come home to pounding red love. Music is perfect, sad, unreasonably extreme. Smooth pools welcome knife, thrust vividly in rough carved heart. When foggy afternoon leaves slash ocean wind through solid blue sky made for climbing along coast ridges on our own island, past top rail we see goats in rocky meadow, each as white as a sail, small one running off to edge into wind, then back over dauntless yellow grass flowers, old one ears lifted for words to arrive over waves. And, this time's illusion, an inner city child's fever burns box at bile, good health gone astray. Like black gold she explodes, doubles over, nostalgia's elusive bright night sky carries her over mountain ridge, flowers fill melancholy rooms barely recognized. Stout-hearted, resolute woman flees to Paris before plane crashed, with no American word she made her will. Hiking cliffs above crashing surf, he slips into ocean, leaves time behind. Thank you very much.
Margaret Mead, Charles Darwin, Aleister Crowley and the All Night Images, Morgan Freeman, Patsy Cline. Yeah, Patsy Cline, she said she would be here. Instead, we have something much better than all that put together, bound together with perfume. We have Hal Robbins coming up here. Give a round of applause for Hal Robbins. And then, of course, there'll be me, oh my God, and then Lauren Bacall.
Marlon Brando.
Yeah, don't forget him. More than heaven.
Was I mistaken in thinking that the theme was insanity?
You were correct. The theme was insanity.
I have exhausted my short, insane poems, but I'm going to start one that usually takes 35 to 40 minutes to say, but I'll just do 5 minutes of it, and when the chime rings, I'll round it off. And I'll also avoid the lengthy Latin epigraph because it cuts into my time. The Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He's described as a gray-bearded loon in the text, so insanity, eh? It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of 3. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, pray wherefore stoppest thou me? The bridegroom's doors are open wide, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set. Mayst hear the merry din. He holds him with his skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Hold off, unhand me, greybeard loon. Eftsoon his hand drops he. He holds him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still and listens like a 3 years child. The mariner hath his will. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbor cleared. Merrily did we drop below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. The sun came up upon the left, out of the sea came he, and he shone bright, and on the right sank down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon, the wedding guest here beat his breast, for he hears the loud bassoon. The bride hath paced into the hall, red as a rose is she, nodding their heads before her go the merry minstrelsy. The wedding guest, he beat his breast, but he cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. He struck with overtaking wing, and chased us south along, with stooping mast and dipping prow, as who pursued with yell and blow still treads the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud roared the blast, and southward, aye, we fled. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold, and ice, mast high, came drifting by, as green as emerald. And through the drifts the snowy cliffs did send a dismal sheen, nor shapes of men nor beasts we ken, the ice was all between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled like noises in a swound. At length did cross an albatross. Thorough the fog it came, as if it had been a Christian soul. We hailed it in God's name. It ate the food it ne'er it ate, and round it flew. The ice did split with a thunder fit, the helmsman steered us through, and a good south wind sprung up behind. The albatross did follow, and every day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. In mist or cloud, on mast or shroud, it perched for vespers 9, whilst all the night through fog smoke white glittered the white moonshine. God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why look'st thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Hal Robbins. Oh, here it is. There you go.
And coming up next is Dan Brady.
Oh, coming up next is me. Thank you for the pounding of the tables and the drinking of the wine. Not too much drinking wine out there. Am I okay in the frame?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, insanity is the theme, and I do have a couple of pieces that cover that. So, let me just put those there. A or B?
A.
Thank you.
B.
Ah, it's too late. Too late. C. Okay, so.
I.
You.
And there's, you know, like they used to say, there's one in every crowd. There's a dozen in this crowd. All right.
You started it.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
There we go. So, this is called You Say. You say you are searching, that you cannot find it. You say you are lost. Listen, grasshopper, love is not a battleground where the bleeding losers are left strewn about to beckon for death's welcoming rap, longing for a final gentle word or touch from God. And I do not serve angels. They have just about everything they need by now. As for you, aching in mind, body, or soul, who have acquired that taste for love,
the thirst that seemingly drives one out of one's mind. I'll tell you what, you can find it simply enough. Go give nourishment to all tender beings. Feed every wide mouth. Quench all thirst for love, and love as you would be loved right where you are. Let your happiness wander no more, no matter where you go, and so be requited. Let your beautiful lips and supple, passionate flesh open sweetly to all the love that you can imagine. Yield to its want, and disseminate all those vital gifts you have upon this magnificent world of ours. Okay, so these are all shorts, and this is insanity. I saw this. Oh, it's untitled, as you might notice. The whites of her eyes float up in the black coffee, staring, accusing, they always come back. I see her eyes float up in my orange juice. In hot brown chocolate, they upset the marshmallow. I always spoon them out. Very, very carefully. I don't want to hurt them at all. Spoon them out. Spoon them onto the napkin. Let them dry and stare at you. And then,
Bravo.
thank you. Yeah, and the thing is, like, where did that one come from? Too many Twilight Zones and nightmares. Longing spelled out. This is not madness, but it could be. Longing spelled out. In your eyes I saw so much that one night there was the moon in its crescent phrase, with Jupiter off to the left, and there was Orion's belt glittering just below the slight galactic haze. It was all in there. As we embraced and our hearts beat one with the others, and there were whispers, warm breath gracing our cheeks, and how lips touching barely at first slowly found the nape. Oh, the soft fingers twined. Silly, I know, but it was joyful. This, then, is when I forever fell in love with time.
Thank you. Thank you. Richard Sanderell, the famed author of many things, and the Arthur of my desire.
Arthur. David Erdreich will be backing me up on a couple pieces tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, and thank you.
Thank you.
My brother says thank you.
My sister's best friend's cousin's second neighbor's best friend's second. Never mind, I'll stop that.
Leave your family out of this,
Yeah,
please.
really.
Some of them weren't family, but they wanted to be.
All right, the first piece is called Swoosh. Swoosh! Downdraft. Swoosh! Spreads out. Look out there is no other. Pressure drops. Stretch as far as can be elongated, extended. Looks like rain in the desert. Seeing pressure drop. Uncoil, strike with a kiss, as forked tongue walks on two legs. Flicks, flicks, flicks. Poor snake has to live with these, well, poor things called humans. The forked tongue, two-legged, emulates the snake, as well as snakes become defanged compared. Two-legged spreads their venom and much better than snake, certainly able to destroy more. Then came the day when the Hopi saw an inverted pressure drop. Like an upside-down gourd, it became known as the gourd of ashes. Prophesied. Swoosh! As it rises from the desert floor, a mushroom male appendage becomes the gourd of ashes. Swish! As it spreads out across the desert, eating, flaming, burning, charring. Energy released will kill somewhere, everywhere, forever after being released. Buried in the mother, away from us, now dispersed throughout the sphere. Swish! Everything becomes atomic, including vets. All a small price to pay for freedom. The sound of freedom is the sound of swish! As it all is disassembled, reassembles, assembles, recomposes, producing rearranged life. Swish!
Bravo.
This one I'll do.
Good job.
This one I'll do by myself. Do your waters still really run that deep? Or are they still no movement of thought? Evil comes to the village as friend. No one notices begins its damage. We are only war heroes in movies and dreams. Others die young believing they could be. Since we're made of stars. Flame on, my brothers and sisters, doesn't mean we survive things that burn stars. Gentleness is shown with reserve, wary of the violent. Beware of gentleness, might just one day win. Once old is swept away by thought. Finally, as slow thinkers, we finally see what is wrought on us, what violence really is. We'll stoke the fires of violence, bake bread, saute vegetables, sauces, a clam bake into the fires of violence can once again be contained. Put on a leash, if you will. Never able to destroy. Message from Coyote who whispers the dream as Wolf watches, says, contain, contain, contain. How? Called Too Many Siddharthas, wannabes. So many young tech heads beginning to realize outside worlds creep into their reality. Now they're unable to pay the rent. Begin to see the outside worlds feel insecure. Will there be more Siddharthas unable to cope? Out in the country, lose their minds, become Usa's new versions of Buddha, feral, new beggars of the ages. Losing consciousness through lack of food, alcohol, drugs increase. Buddha, USA style. The greatest philosophical droppings of our time, superior to religious spiritual politicians. Don't let them deter. You're listening to Buddha on your podcast. Buddha's back on your tube. Buddha says Jesus might be back. Pissed with Paul, stealer of his rock, myth, sky god maker. More Siddharthas, as things go up and down, they go down, so and down, as their circle getting into its middle, with death passing, freak tumbled into what some call enlightenment. Lucifer calls it light. Lou's sad that it took all this hue and cry to achieve by just clearly looking. Old Buddha needs fire and heart, mind. Do new Buddhas know heart, mind? Run, run, run from this enlightenment. Too crowded, too many Buddha wannabes. Thank you.
Thank you. Sanderell. Sanderell. Because we used to call him the Sandero, but we don't do that anymore. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I return to the microphone for but a brief while. A flickering light upon the stage of this universe.
I'm going to introduce the feature. Rosemary Ibarra Garcia. Just give a quick wave here. This is our feature of the evening. And she is an honored writer. Honored in the sense that she is published, and you have brought books with you, yes? She has books tonight, ladies and gentlemen. She has received awards, many and varied. She's well known in the Bay Area, and I happened to meet her at a poetry reading in Pacifica at Florey's Bookstore, which is the last Saturdays, right?
Yes.
It's the last Saturday of every month. And it's a great little reading. Sherry Rose Walker is the host, and she's been doing this for several years now. And it's a great place. And so I said, I'll go down there. I haven't been there in a while. And there, this reader was just like, I'm going to invite this person to do a feature at Secret Grounds. It was just an amazing experience. I thought, other people need to hear the voice. It's a beautiful voice. It's a wonderful voice. She covers the ground, talks about issues that, I think, for me, the theme was the heart, even though she might not have said that directly. The theme there is what the center of the heart is, what the heart means, where it goes, what its dreams are. And she does it in ways that, are fascinating. So rather than me go on and on like that, I'd rather have you hear her. Give her a nice round of applause. She comes up here now. A beautiful and wonderful, intense poet, though you may not know it. She looks calm, but she'll take us out of there.
I put it in shorter because I'm very short.
Okay, and then we'll focus you up here with this, and we'll get yourself organized. Okay,
Yeah,
and
this
then
is great.
just maybe move a little bit this way, and then I'll give you a little signal. You got like 5 minutes left or something. You want me to do that, or
Yes,
okay?
please.
All right, I'll take care of that just for you.
So, hello.
Hello.
My first time here.
Oh, wait a minute, we forgot that
That's wonderful.
Hallelujah, brothers. Speech.
Well, I'm from Half Moon Bay, and over there we do have a regular reading, the second Tuesday of the month, and we're just so packed into this little coffee shop, and it's so nice to see this huge space. For me, it's huge, and and to see so many wonderful poets. So I want to thank Dan Brady and of course Sacred Grounds for having me here today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to start out by reading a poem that I usually start my poetry readings with each time. And these 2 books, it's called House of Song and Weaving. There's another one right here, Weaving. They're basically about culture, my culture, which is the Latino culture. And growing up in the San Joaquin Valley. How many of you know where that is?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Of course you know where that is, right? Anyway, it's a really, it was really good for me to write these books because they are from the heart and they're about my family and people I met growing up and things I learned. So I'll start out with El Sol de San Joaquin, the sun of the San Joaquin. Thirsty landscapes pray for rain, not heeding to the pleas of feathered dance rhythms. The sun rolls over valley hills in a golden bath. She stretches her feverish hands from Sacramento to Bakersfield, strokes the soft skin of ripeness, drinks from the brown soot of irrigation ditches, slumbers deep and slow in broken huts, loves wildly between the trees of silent orchards, spills yellow fruit over the twig of a child's arm,
treads through rows of unpicked fruit in dusty shoes, gleans sweaty faces into a sack under a cloudless sky, smells swollen breaths from musty mouths, weaves rivers over blackened soil, languishes in the calmness of sunset, and closes her eyes to dream of the swelling life. This one is a little bit lighter. I read it last time, so you might, I don't think you'll remember. But
Never
anyway.
know, this mind does remember some things.
Anyway, I like to throw this one in because it's lighter and it's kind of funny. It's called La Danza. My parents met at this hall in a dance, and it's called Hidalgo Hall, and they were always telling me stories. And so I just put it together and I wrote it, this poem about it. La Danza. El baile comenzó en el Hidalgo Hall. Salvador, dressed in a zoot suit salsa, dashed across the wooden floor, jitterbugging and boogie-wooging, bugle boy danza. Damas lined the wall in high-heeled hair rolls, hummed tunes, smiled giggles, pretended not to feel the stares that came their way. Swing a little closer, mi muchachita in blue, come a little closer. The black widows made their grand entrance at the hall door. Estas damas were from L.A., machas full of power, cuchillo breasts, short black skirts, long-legged black hose. Onlookers turned to stone. Salvador danced with Maria, who was not yet 15, but full of wanting to be. And her mother watched. The molote, the bun, on Doña Juana's head was a beacon that didn't work so well. Maria, swing a little closer, mi corazón, niña preciosa. I want you, my beauty. Be mine. Soon, Manuel tap, tap, tap on Salvador's shoulder for a dance with Maria. Salvador refused. La pelea ensued. Pelea is a fight. No more boogie-woogie, only fists that slammed Salvador under a painted bench. Maria was grabbed by her mother. Constable George took Salvador to jail for the night. No more danza, no more boogie-woogie bugle boy. And 2 weeks later, the dish ran away with a spoon.
Just try to say really close to the mic. There we go.
Okay. This next one is called Nawali. Nawali is the Aztec word for shadow soul, the animal double of the human soul. The Aztec people, known as the Mexica, had a balanced relationship with the animal world. And they viewed animals as sacred beings that shared the earth with the gods before any humans were born. So I wrote this poem to my animal soul, my mentor, Nawali. I call him Nawali. Nawali is a gray wolf. He brings me the breath of a twig. I listened as I gazed into his amber eyes, to the shadow of his voice. Seeds sprout in the earth. They wait for the low pulse of life, he says. I gather my spirit and follow him. He is real and not real, a quiet song that praises with a subtle breath. Today is a day to see gold-riddled ladies of glass hanging from the eaves of houses, mice jerking over ground cover, snails crossing the road, leaving chains of silver mirrors. The magic of light comes to those with patient hearts. What I'm going to try to do tonight is to give you a sample of some of the different kinds of poems that I write. But I'm still with the cultural poems here. This one is called Mendota Cotton Pickers. Most of the time when you think of cotton pickers, you think of the South. However, there is cotton picking going on in California. and it's usually around a town called Mendota. So, rows of curved shapes toil over cotton fields. Campesinos hide pain under hats, handkerchiefs, dusty frowns. They paddle stiff oars through waves of white fields. They cool flannel bodies with a sweat of repetition. Women hunch low, the burden of conquest on backs and wombs in vacuous chasms. Every pull a peril under frivolous heat. Children slave in the valley of look the other way. When school bells ring, chairs learn empty. Ghostly forms drag childhoods away. Futures vanish like puffs of smoke. The ache of it, steel rods through spines, pick and pull to drop throbbing drums. Sorry. This one's called Cannery Whistle. A shrill scream blares into the now strident morning air. Men in numb, oil-stained khakis nimbly enter a vacuous steel den. Time cards squeeze the mirth from their quarry. It is a hive of muscle and machine, a racket of pounding iron, flapping broken belts. Cans clang and snake down tinny highways. Brown lava creeps over leather soles. Hammers bang iron against the slapping belt. Tomato puree, paste and waste, smells of metal, rust and guts. Faster, faster, announces the whip. A finger in chili con carne, a rat's tail in the vat. Tastes like tin. Maintain the flow. Ignore the bell. Label machines keep pace with glue, hammers, the sturdy backs of El Mosco, La Pulga, y El Flaco. Those who mend coppery tendrils, curse and grease, one more day, one more loop. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go over to the other poems. These are poems that I wanted to read in solidarity to the Me Too movement, and they're just issues that or situations that women find themselves in, and I wanted to highlight those. Excuse me. This one, and these are a little more surrealistic, so you may or may not understand some of them, but they're different from the cultural poems that are more liberal. Rough edges. I start my day cleaning the rust off dishes in the melted sink. Dogs bark in the distance. I scrape the mold from toilet bowls, prune trees with a dinner knife. As I pass from the kitchen to the bedroom, I pick up body parts, a leg, the arm of my son, the heart of my husband, my fingers, so many fingers. There in the bedroom, away from eyes that squeeze the air, I arrange the body parts in a basket next to the sewing machine. This one is called Days of Broken Wings. And let's see. The carrots, potatoes, and pot roast are ready to be burned. My husband shoots the birds with a BB gun. He aims from the door. Birds drop from the sky onto the cold cement patio. Tomorrow, I will shovel them into graves. He stands naked at the door and solicits unsuspecting beasts. My clothes are wrinkled, but I wear them. The floor moans when I drop, and the kicks to my side ooze crimson, withered lilies. My child plays quietly in his room with dead birds. The girl who never was. The woman felt the girl's gaze from behind a shabby screen door. The girl was around 5. Her hair, stringy fibers of broken time. Little black feathers, wisps of hair. Sad eyes stared hungry for a pat on the head, a ribbon of remembrance. She faded when the woman turned to look. What had held her bones, her soul there? The woman searched for her through the broken door, through stairways back in time. And when the spark of the lost ember lit in her heart, the woman knew the girl was the stain that never was. A small shadow with an insatiable hunger to be. I think I'll start with the next section now, which is from my new book that I haven't, it's not out yet, but I'm putting it together still. It's called Painted Porch. And these poems, some of them are from just what has come out of my journey through studying the ancient Stoic philosophy, which I really, really like, because it's really helped me in my life. So the first one is called Rain, and some of them are about nature too, so you'll see that. Rain. And this one was nominated for the Pushcart Prize, but of course I didn't get it. But that's okay. Being nominated was fine.
That's good. That's good.
Especially by the California Quarterly, so that was good. I inhale the width of earth, seagulls slicing through air, swells slapping jagged bluffs. I am rain, falling through thirsty skies. I moisten feathers, spray rocks hardened by time, by years of living that flow through my fingers. My heart endures the raspy voice of storm clouds, the tumbling limbs of dead trees. The earth absorbs me as I land, assimilates me into her burrow. Grains of sand so intimate, yet so detached in minute worlds. It is a dense view against my liquid perspective, my need to breathe freely, my transparency. This one actually is a little bit different. I'll read it anyway. Temple of Baal Shamim, Palmyra, Syria, 17 AD to 2015. It's called Scattered Stones. The scent of war lingers among corners of faith, arches of worship. Eyes of statues cry upon inverted steeples, vacant altars. Wine of life drips upon roads of fire, footprints of ghostly forms in hunched obedience. Fallen pillars hide the tangled baby Jesus in the arms of Muhammad and Baal. Stones everywhere, hardened by something longer than time, older than war. You see, this temple, Baal Shamim in Syria, has been a Christian church. It's been an ancient, a pagan. Baal was the god they worshipped there. and then Muhammad, Muslim, so, or Islam. And so, this one temple had all these religions, people worship in that temple. And it was crushed in 2015 during the Syrian, well, it's still going on during the war. And we have temples that are destroyed all over the world. And, you know, it's horrible. So beautiful. How much time? 3 more minutes?
I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay. I'll do the, I don't even know which one I want to read. Okay. I'll read this one. It was just published by Lily Press. Lamp in the window. Lonely as a serenade in snow. 2 pair of eyes converge on a page. Voyeurs peer through the cool night air as stars shift. A couple reaches for a glass of red wine. Warmth of fire, wordless talk, eloquent touches, the fever of escape into an untitled book without a cover.
Can you do one more? One more?
One more?
Yeah.
He said one more.
I know, but I don't want you to cut yourselves, short there.
Okay, let me see if I can find
People
it.
love it, so time allows.
Oh, this is one of my favorite, I don't know.
Well, that's always a good choice.
I have some in Spanish. Do you want me to read that one?
No.
How about
You
it?
don't have to English for it.
You don't understand.
Well, I like listening to the language, but I want to.
Yeah, but you wouldn't understand it. Well, there's one I have that, it's called Dueños de la Tierra. Oh, I know which one I want to read.
Do it in French, then, in French.
I will read it in French. No, I'm just kidding.
Ancient Sumerian.
There is one that I have that I
Ah,
can't
yeah.
find.
Sumerian 2, not Sumerian 1, because that's Sumerian
Any of the
1 stuff. Just,
In honor of
yeah, exactly.
Honor of Baal.
And how often do we hear that name these
So
days?
that's actually the first word in my name.
Oh.
My name is Baal Shem Tov.
Oh, it is, wow. Well, I'm gonna read Blue Vase, how's
All
that?
right. That's good.
I bought this vase, it's beautiful blue, in a garage sale. And sometimes you find interesting things at garage sales. You might even find your own book sometimes. And that's always disheartening. But anyway, I did find this beautiful blue vase, and I just love it so much. And so I love its color, so I wrote a poem about it. Slim silk, hourglass neck, brushstrokes of midnight blue. She is a cool, clandestine walk on sand. Ocean waves in silver moonlight. The jealous rain in her sometimes cerulean sheen, her sometimes transparency, stares sharply and slow through a window, beyond an overcast living room, beyond a tan Persian carpet, to the mantel, to white Asiatic lilies in piano hands, to the blueness of a long neck, a full mouth, deep curves.
Wow. Now when do you pick that up? Rosemary Ibarra Garcia, come on. Thank you so much. Now, just to remind you, she did bring books with her, and I'm going to make sure that this thing is not recording as it is sitting here while we take a brief break. Talk to her, talk to each other, schmooze and reconnoiter. We shall return in due course with a great second half, which shall astound and amaze.
You want a free book? I have so